Hi everyone, it's Cherie from 12 by 12 Cardstock Shop, and today I am going to put an easier file together. I did use my pearl embellishments from 12 by 12 Cardstock Shop, and my glue bottle is just one I found on Amazon. It's called a fine line applicator, and I fill it with my art glitter glue from 12 by 12 Cardstock Shop. So this file is from Treasure Box Designs and called Gnome Leprechaun. I imported him into Cricut Design Space at 10.0 width, and it auto-adjusted my height to 8.065. So I start with all the smaller pieces, meaning I'm going to do it in segments, his shoes first, because I noticed that when I get the smaller pieces out of the way, one, I don't lose any, and two, it goes together a lot more easy. You can use paper pieces on so many things, layouts, cards, borders for your pages even. My brown color is Walnut by Basil, and then I used the basic black and white by American Crafts. The red I used for his beard and mustache is the color Squash by American Crafts. His skin tone is Shrimp. The yellow is Tulip, and that's sandable. The lime is also sandable. Granny Smith, which is another green, is basil. So those are the base colors I used. Oh, and emerald is the dark green by American Crafts. You can go to 12 by 12 Cardstock Shop and just put those names in. It'll pull up the colors for you. They're all available. I went online and checked. They still are for sale because some colors I've had for 20 years, as I used to buy in bulk when paper would go on sale at Joann's before we had the ease and access to online ordering. So the shoes come with the top portion and the back portion. The top portion has the cutout where the tongue would be, and the base portion is the solid with the tongue not cut out. The tongue is actually there. And then I put the sole on and the laces. They are going to overlap. And what I did in order to make sure that I had them in the right place was to make sure that I could not see any of my glass mat underneath the shoes. I didn't speed the video up too much just because I wanted to make sure that I covered all bases, as we are getting a lot of newer scrapbookers, and I want to include everybody. I don't mind doing intermediate pieces, advanced pieces, and beginner pieces. And what you saw in the beginning where he was just laid on top of each other is called dry piecing. One, that makes sure I have all of my pieces, and two, that they're in the correct order. So after I got his shoes on to his body, I'm going to move it to the side and now work on his hat. The hat has several pieces. And his hat band, it goes on the hat base first, and it's actually going to go underneath the brim of the hat. I made sure that before I put it together and definitely glued it together because the art glitter glue is very permanent. I slid it up to make sure that my back sides, that I couldn't see any of the bands protruding from the backside, so I knew that it was placed correctly. And now I'm going to put his brim on. Now you can cut out that yellow is the tulip color I was mentioning, and I also cut the flower circles out in the same color, but I used pearls for that. And this is yellow glitter cardstock, just because I try to utilize things over and over to ensure that I'm giving you guys more uses than just one-time uses. Now all the flowers, the white ones, come with the file, but I just took it up a notch and dug out my Prima flowers, which I've had for probably 15 years. I did find some 2 years ago at Michael's, and they were being discontinued. They were by Recollections. I'm not sure if they're even still available or where to look. I know that people do make them on eBay, but I prefer to get them in a jar just because the quantity for the price is a lot better. Now his beard, because there is no base piece to this to actually layer, it's a lot of eyeballing and where you want it to go. I overglued the back because I don't trust myself gluing the front, as I don't want glue to show from under his beard onto his tummy. So I just wiped off the excess off the back. On the top of his beard, there's a rounded part, and the hat actually lines up with that. So as long as your round corners line up with the round corners on the beard, it'll be perfect. Now those little notches on the bottom of the brim of the hat of his beard, the mustache, the top part of the mustache are going to line up right over. You don't have to push them down to make them stick. It's just for placement. And that does make the file a lot easier. And if you notice there's a ridge on the top of the mustache, his nose goes right on top of that. The Prima flowers, I would say check Etsy because I did see them on Etsy and I have them in every color. I've had them for a long, long time, and there's some bottles have 50, some have 200. I've been collecting them for a long time just because I do use them here and there, especially during Easter and spring. Now I glued the back of his arm onto the back of his body. And again, I replaced the white flower for the Prima flowers, the two on the top. And I used those pearl embellishments as my flower centers. This is going to just go on the outside of his body. That way his hand can set on the top of it. I am going to have a pause at the end of the video and it'll come back with all my highlights, my white gel pen, and my white pan pastel chalk. And then I used the Doodlebug Designs Ink Seasons Cardstock Value Pack. Man, that's a big word. And here it is right here. Now, it does say that designs will vary, and I ordered 3 of these. I sent one to a friend, and here's my finished piece with my photo mats. Have a good day, guys. Thanks for watching.